All right, it's hard to talk about the XP Trike2 without calling back to the original XP Trike and what that was and how revolutionary of a product it was. And so, Matt, you had joined the team still pretty recently when we first launched that XP Trike, and we had some development, but there was a lot that had to get done. You had come up with some creative prototyping with zip ties and everything like that. And that process was pretty unusual and demanding because it was a first of its kind. You just want to speak to what we were solving for with the original first XP Trike.
Yeah, when we came out with that trike, I mean, the model, or I should say the competitive landscape looked a lot different. What was popular then was front hub motors.
Yep.
And there really was an area of the market that was underserved that you could really separate both performance and aesthetic and all that together. And so what we did is we came up with the rear wheel drive trike of mounting the hub motor, so still, familiar to our customer base, but nesting it in the back of the trike so that it could power both wheels instead of just the front wheel. So there were multiple reasons why we did that. When we were testing front wheel trikes at the time with competitors, they would spin out going uphill, or just like the power would be unbalanced. And we were really trying to solve for that. And that's what we did with Trike 1.
So, Robbie, what were we kind of hearing from customers over that 2-year period of what they're looking for when we're ready to iterate on this?
Yeah, with trikes, one of the biggest concerns I think people have right out of the gate is this thing going to be a little bit tippy, right?
Sure.
I mean, the idea of a trike is, hey, I want to get out, I want to ride a bike, but, maybe I have some balance issues, maybe I have some mobility issues, whatever it is. And so, with the Trike 1, we're really focused on how do we get the rider as low as possible, the center of gravity as low as possible. And so with the Trike 2, we just wanted to take that even further, right? And really make the rider feel planted, confident, comfortable, everything like that. So when we were redesigning this frame, we did a few different things. We lowered the BB height, so the rider is actually lower to the ground while they're riding. We went to a street tire, so a little bit less tread, a little bit smaller profile on those tires, so the whole bike sits lower because of that. And then also, a lot of our customers buy that rear basket, put that rear basket on. And, if you have a bunch of cargo back there and a bunch of weight back there, obviously, on the Trike 1, it was relatively high. We lowered that for the Trike 2 so that if you're going to be carrying all of that stuff, everything's lower to the ground. You're going to be a lot more planted. And the other big thing, comfort, right? I think the stability goes towards comfort, but also, front suspension, right? We heard it right out of the gate. We had the rigid front fork on the Trike 1.0, and we heard it from customers, I'd like to have some suspension. And so the Cloud 50 front suspension, huge upgrade there.
But there's also touch points, and I think there's a number of touch points in the cockpit, Robbie, that is just a nicer quality of life if you want to speak to those.
Yeah, so we went to our lock-on grips on the Trike, so some customers may be familiar with those on some of our previous models, but the Lectric lock-on grips, so ergonomic, molded to a person's hands, so super comfortable touch point there. We did a brake upgrade on the XP Trike 2, huge upgrade there. And so the locking mechanism, there's a parking brake on a trike for those that have not ridden a trike before. There's a parking brake, and so the parking brake mechanism changed. It's just a lot easier to operate, more confidence inspiring. So that's huge. And there's a little bit of a stylized blue locking mechanism on there for us at Lectric.
Yeah, the new levers feel great. Like, I really like the new levers and the housing for the mineral oil. That whole casing looks very well done. But so, hit on it a little bit, Matt. There's different settings for the customer. And what are those settings on a Trike 2?
Yeah, so on a Trike 2, you have the settings where you can change just about anything. You can change your top speed, you can change how reactive the throttle is or not. You can change now, something new for this product is going to be the signal that actually is being turned on and off by somebody pedaling. And so what that actually means is, on Trike 1, we had a cadence signal. So just by moving the cranks, the power would be activated at a particular threshold or a particular limit of power. So that still exists on Trike 2, but we also have, or Trike 2 750, but we also then have the torque sensor on Trike 2 750. So you can have the torque sensor signal, or you could have the cadence signal. It doesn't matter. That customer can choose to have that. And I think that's going to be a huge benefit for those customers that want to have that flexibility.
And one of the things that you and your team spent a ton of time on was crafting, because I think the trike for some riders is still intimidating, right? It can be a lot of power, or even it's kind of a unique experience riding 3 wheels compared to 2 wheels. You got to treat it completely differently. And one of the things is like the beginner mode, right? And so that comes out of the box and it's preset. And so what even is beginner mode, and how do you know when you are ready to graduate onto going into the settings and taking that mode off?
Yeah, I mean, there are still people that I know that just want to be in beginner mode all the time.
Yeah.
And yeah, to your point, it just means that the power levels are basically cut in half. It depends on the bike and what power assist level, but in general ways, it's cut in half. Yeah, it's a way gradual on ramping power. So as you begin to pedal, that power delivery is smoother and more subtle than when you're out of beginner mode.
Yeah.
So it's one thing to learn how to ride a bike, but like you said, it's one thing to learn how to ride a trike.
Yeah.
And it's not quite the same. So as you turn on uneven terrain, let's say getting up onto a sidewalk or onto that bike path like I used earlier, it can just be something different. You want to lean into that turn and you can't. So you want to make sure that power delivery, you expect it when you want it, not when you don't need it. And I think that's the best way for customers to learn, is in beginner mode, and then taking it out of beginner mode as they become more fluent and familiar with the bike or the trike and how it turns and handles. Now,
we've talked a little bit about the 750 watt. There's 3 major changes that come with that XP Trike 2 750. Matt, let's talk them through what those changes are.
Yeah, so we've got the torque sensor, we've got the motor being 750, and then we've got the battery. So this is the first time that we've done this large of a battery on a trike.
Yes.
And, customers surprisingly ride a decent amount of range or a decent amount of distance with their trike that, it's compelling for them, and they want that extra power, they want that extra battery size to go further and faster.
You can also take on extremely steep hills with a trike that is rocking the 750. So if you're carrying heavier loads or a heavier rider, or have a lot of extremely steep hills, this thing just digs its heels in and it will maintain that 14 mile per hour speed up extremely steep grades. Let's talk about the fact that the first trike we had to bring in, so we made it folding and we delivered it fully assembled, but it was kind of an odd shape. And when we decided we were going to go to a front suspension, we made another decision there. So Rob, let's kind of talk through the folding aspect and trying to making this thing as small as possible when transporting it.
Yeah, I think that, we've said it on these design series a number of times that, we try to make it as easy on the customer as possible, from, the buying experience through to delivery, unboxing, and getting riding as quickly as possible. And so, the Trike 1, we were like, okay, this needs to be fully assembled, ready to go. The Trike 1 is a giant box for any Trike 1 customers out there, right? It shows up to your doorstep and, the delivery guy has to roll it, to the front door. It's pretty crazy. And so we're like, okay, is there a better way to do the folding on the Trike 2 that allows customers the flexibility if you're, taking this thing on an RV trip or whatever it may be? Like, let's reduce the footprint, let's reduce the box size, let's get it there safely. And, we've done this with a lot of our other products now. It's that through axle on that suspension fork. And so it makes assembly super easy, where literally, you take the wheel out of the box, put it in the dropouts, thread the through axle in, and you're done.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, and you're rolling.
So one of the other themes that we wanted to take on here was the safety aspect, always elevating that as a brand. With each iteration, we want to continue to push that up. And so, Matt, kind of let's talk about the added safety features and also just the standardized testing that we continue to put our products through.
Yeah. So for the first people, if this is their first Lectric product,
yes,
we adhere to the UL 2849 standard, which also encompasses UL 2271. So for what that means is UL 2849 is a safety standard that's for all electric bikes to follow. And then 2271 is for particular to that of the battery, to make sure that there's all sorts of protection for fire, all sorts. There's so many safety aspects related to that. And maybe we do that in another video some other time.
Yeah.
Too much to say here. But then we also have CPSC, so that's Consumer Product Safety Commission. There's parameters with that. You want to make sure that it's easy for the customer to get on and off and stand over height. There's all sorts. And then there's the other safety aspects of making sure that there's reflective sidewalls, there's turn signals, there's brake lights, there's a headlight, all these things that we put into our products to make sure that the customer can see and is visible to other riders or other automobiles on the road.
So what I'm stoked about looking at this holistically is we just went through a mountain of upgrades, right? The display, just all the various touch points. We added a front suspension. We added more options to make this more of your trike. You know, do you want to choose a different color? Do you want to choose a different battery or motor size? Or now you can have a torque sensor or a cadence sensor. Like there's all these things that are available to you to really make this trike kind of custom to you, not only in functionality, but also in style. And I think that's super cool about this. But we've managed to keep the price the same. So it's still starting at $14.99. And I think that is kind of crazy for us to add a full front suspension. And it's an awesome front suspension system with the through axle, aluminum. Like this is not a cheap front suspension that we were able to put on and not have any additional upcharge, especially in this climate. I think that's a real testament to the team's work. And then the scale Lectric has continued to graduate too, and we've always said that we invest back into our products, and we will always fight for the customer to not have the price be affecting them or anything like that. And this is a cool example of us once again proving that. But this product has seen great success, and tens of thousands of new riders have joined the Lectric family, and it's varied. It's from some people who the trike just makes more sense for them in their lives. Maybe it's an older rider who hasn't been on a ride in 30 years. Actually, what's really cool is like when we were at Quartzsite, you would see people go from a walker onto a trike, and then they would use the XP Trike and do all their fun activities around Quartzsite, and then go back to the walker. And it's just like changes mobility for them and opens up the world. And it's so cool to see that amputee riders, this is a great option for them. We see that all the time in the showroom, and it's a great constant reminder of we need to design product for all the riders out there, and this is a perfect example of how we're doing it. So I'm really excited to get these out there. The Trike 2 has been out for about 6 weeks now and has shown amazing success. The Trike 2 750 has been out for like 24 hours and has sold hundreds instantly, and it's like extremely exciting, and we're going to start shipping those very soon as well. And this is a very cool and exciting time for Lectric, because we know that many of these people who are getting the Trike 2 may not have a bike or e-bike in their lives right now, and we're going to bring more riders in and expand our community even more. And that's all we're about, right? I remember when we hit our 10,000th rider or our 100,000th rider, we have never quite felt satisfied. It's like, let's add another zero to it, and then let's circle back. And we didn't feel that way at 10,000. We didn't feel that way at 100,000. Let's keep working until we get 1 million riders out there, and then we can ask ourselves again. But I have a feeling this is a trend that's going to keep on going. So very excited and can't wait to get all these people riding.